Hello everyone, welcome to the second online session on engineering geology. In the previous session of engineering geology, I have covered two important topics. One is importance of geology in civil engineering field or application of geology in civil engineering field. Second one is the internal structure of the earth. These two topics are very important considering the VTU final examination. In the VTU final examination question paper, you can see a repeated question regarding these two topics. They are: first one, write down the application of geology in civil engineering field. Second one is write a note on internal structure of the earth. So these two questions you can see repeated in all the VTU final exam question paper. Now in this session of engineering geology, we are going to start with an interesting and a new topic. Okay, that is mineralogy. Now, as the name indicates, from the geology, logy means study of. So here we are going to study the minerals. So study of minerals is called as mineralogy. Now let us go with the definition of mineralogy. Mineralogy is nothing but it is the branch of geology. Okay, there are different types of branches in geology. One of the branch, an important one, is the mineralogy. Deals with the study of minerals. As the name indicates itself, it is nothing but the study of mineral. So it is a branch of geology which deals with the study of minerals is called as mineralogy. Now what do you mean by minerals? Okay, what is the definition of mineral? Okay, mineral, it is a substance having a definite composition and atomic structure formed from an inorganic process in the nature. Okay, now here the two important terms comes into picture: composition as well as atomic structure. Okay, any material which we found inside the earth's surface, we call it as a substance. When do we call this substance as a mineral? When we check its chemical composition. When the chemical composition is definite, means it should not be varying from place to place, or with respect to time the chemical composition should not be varied, as well as the atomic structure. When the substance has a definite composition as well as definite atomic structure, then we call this substance as a mineral, and it should be formed by the inorganic processes in the nature. And this is just a general definition of minerals. Now let me go to the engineering definition of minerals. Minerals have been defined as the naturally occurring one. So it is not an artificial one, it is a naturally occurring one, mostly inorganic. Most of the minerals, whatever we found in the earth till now, is an inorganic one, that are characterized by a definite chemical composition and a definite atomic structure. Now, take for an example of a quartz. Okay, quartz chemical composition is SiO2, and let me take this the atomic structure as some A. Okay, this is the chemical composition, this is the atomic structure. Now, anywhere in the earth, any point in time or any location, okay, in both condition, any point in time, okay, if there are 100 years back or 100 years in the future, if you take the mineral as quartz, okay, it has a definite chemical composition of SiO2 only and a definite atomic structure of something like A. Just an example I am giving. We'll study this atomic structure and chemical composition in the coming sessions, where the quartz itself as an topic. Okay, we'll cover a session on regarding the quartz mineral itself. Okay, now just to give an idea of this definition, I'm going to explain regarding the quartz now. Okay, so this chemical composition and atomic structure should not be varied with respect to time. So this should be constant and this should be a definite one. Okay, if you see 100 years back, the quartz has this only chemical composition. In 100 years from now, this will be the chemical composition of the quartz. Then only we can say that substance as a mineral, and the mineral name is given as quartz. That is how the naming is done. Depending on the chemical composition and the atomic structure, a naming of the mineral is being done. A quartz mineral, when you say a quartz mineral, it should have a definite chemical composition as well as a definite atomic structure. If one of the thing varies, if the chemical composition varies, let me say it become SiO3, then it is not said to be quartz. It will be later defined based on its different other properties also. Again, if the chemical composition is same, if the atomic structures varies like B, it will be. So what will happen? Again, the naming will change. Okay, it should have a basically a definite chemical composition and a definite atomic structure. Then only we classify it as a mineral. Then we provide it a name based on its different properties. So this is how we go on with the minerals. Okay, so basically when in exam asked define minerals, you have to write down this definition. Minerals has been defined as the naturally occurring substance, mostly inorganic, that are characterized by the definite chemical composition and a definite atomic structure. So if you miss these two words, the whole marks will be gone. Remember that a definite chemical composition should be there, a definite atomic structures will be there. You will get a clear idea when we study the different types of minerals. Now why these minerals we have to study? What is the importance of these minerals? Since the rocks, okay, since the rocks which make up the earth are simply natural aggregates of minerals, so minerals get together to form a rock. Okay, whatever rocks we use for the building construction have been formed due to the minerals. A study of minerals is of a fundamental importance to understand, okay, there should be a word, to understand the elements of science of geology. To understand the science of geology, remember that the fundamental thing, first thing what you have to study is the regarding the minerals. Okay, a basic thing regarding geology, if you want to study, in that you have to first study the regarding the minerals. Okay, that is the very much important. So mineralogy is a very important topic in engineering geology. Once you get to know the what do you mean by mineralogy and different topics, engineering geology becomes very easy. Okay, why this mineralogy you have to study? Because the minerals will make up the rocks. So different number of minerals get together to form a rock. To understand the rock, we first need to study the minerals. Okay, that is why mineralogy is very important topic. It is the fundamental topic. Okay, it has a fundamental importance to understand the science of geology. Remember that to understand the earth science, first thing what you have to understand is the mineralogy, the properties of the minerals. Okay, that is what we have to understand first. Each mineral is generally characterized by the set of qualities, some of which are almost always distinctive and differentiate it from the other minerals. All the minerals will have a specific properties. Okay, each property will be different from other minerals, and some minerals have a specific property which will not be found in any other type of materials which are found in the earth. Not only minerals, any other type of materials also it won't be found. So these are the qualities of the mineral. Remember that it has some distinctive and differentiable properties which will be characterize the mineral itself. So we will go to the when we go to those minerals, we will see which are the properties or which are those things which will differentiate from the other rest of the minerals. Okay, let us see that in the coming sessions. Okay, this is just the brief idea what I am giving you now. We are not going into the concept now itself. First we will see the properties, then we will see the different minerals. Okay, now what are the classification of minerals? So minerals are classified into two groups. First one is a rock forming mineral, second one is a ore forming mineral. So what do you mean by rock forming mineral? As the name indicates, are those which are essential to form a rock. So we have seen from this statement itself. So minerals will form rocks. Okay, so many types of minerals get together to form a one type of rock. So to form those rocks, why minerals are required? So these minerals are said to be rock forming mineral. Example, quartz, mica, etc. There are n different types of minerals which will be helpful for formation of rock. Now what are the other type of mineral? That is ore minerals are those having metal content in it. So these are the type of minerals which will have some metal content like aluminium, steel, iron. Okay, so these are the type of minerals which will have this type of metal content which are essential to start an industry, okay, to development of the country. So hematite is a ore of iron. So to start an iron industry in any location, you should get a hematite mineral. If any location has a hematite mineral, in those location we can start an iron industry there. So whenever a mineral has a metal content in it, it is said to be a ore mineral. Remember that. So this is just a basic idea. Okay, hopefully you get the idea of this. So rock forming mineral is nothing but a which has a which make up the rock, okay, which is essential to make up a rock is called as rock forming mineral. Ore forming mineral which has a metal content in it, and we can start a industry, okay, to the development of the country itself, okay. Example, hematite mineral, cyclochlorite mineral, okay. These are the two examples. There are n number of ore forming minerals also we will see in the coming sessions. Now, what we will study in the minerals? We will study the properties. Okay, properties may be studied from the body of the mineral itself, from the body itself, from what we see. It's we can study like example shape. What will be the shape of the mineral? What will be the color? What will be the shine? What will be the hardness, etc. These are said to be physical properties. Okay, from the body itself. When we touch the mineral, how it feels. Depending on that, we will give the shape, shine, color, everything. Then some other qualities like behavior towards light require extremely thin shades. Okay, so some other properties which we have to study, not just the physical properties, we have to study some other properties, okay, which will be dependent on the light. Okay, and the mineral should be in thin sheet or thin sections of minerals are best studied with the help of microscope. Okay, these are termed as optical or microscopic properties. Not only physical properties what we can see to our naked eyes directly, what we can see, we are not only studying that. Using microscopic views we are going to study the different behaviors of the mineral with respect to light also we are going to study. Remember that there are two type of properties, okay, in minerals we have to study. One is the physical property, second one is the microscopic property, okay. These two things we are going to study. Now, what are the physical properties we are going to study? The first one is the color, second one streak, third one luster, fracture, cleavage, differentity, hardness, specific gravity. So these are the 8 type of physical properties which we are going to study in this engineering geology session. Okay, in this session we are going to complete this 8 type of physical properties. Based on this 8 type of physical property we will characterize the mineral and we will give the name. So if you ask me how a mineral naming is done, okay, a naming, when we find a substance we confirm it has a definite shape, we confirm it has a definite atomic structure, then we say it is a inorganic substance. Then how do we name that mineral? Based on these properties. This is just the physical properties. There are chemical properties also we are going to study. Then there are optical properties, okay, microscopic properties also we are going to study. Based on all these properties then we are going to name a mineral, okay. So these are the 8 physical properties which are important. With this 8 physical properties there is one more physical properties which is again important, that is habit. Okay, so this is an important question in your VTU examination. What do you mean by habit, and explain the different types of habit. So this is a regular question if you see your question paper. Explain habit, okay. So you have to explain the different types of habit also. So what do you mean by habit? A mineral may sometimes show a definite and characteristic arrangement in its outer appearance or physical shape. So if you consider any mineral which will have a definite and a characteristic arrangement, okay, let me explain with you this example. So this is an example of mica. So mica is one of the mineral, okay. So it will have this type of arrangement. Now it is called as foliated habit. Why this is called as a foliated habit? Because when the mineral consists of a thin and separable leaves, means we can separate this one leaves with other. So this is one leaf here, what you can see here. We can separate this from another one and form the whole branch. Again this we can separate it. So we can go on separating each one of these separately. This type of said to be a foliated habit. Now let me show one more thing. Fibrous habit. When the mineral is made up of fiber, see here, this is like this single fiber it is made up of. See here, this is one single fiber which you can see here. So here is one fiber, here is one fiber. These fiber generally separatable, okay. These are said to be fibrous habit. Example, asbestos. So this is an asbestos mineral image I have taken here for an example, okay. So based on this we say it a habit. A mineral may having sometimes a definite. See here, in this the definite arrangement is that there is a thin sheets which we can remove it, okay, separatable leaves. Thin sheets we can say it, okay, which we can separate it very easily. Here fibrous like threads like this, which will be formed, okay. Definite and characteristic arrangement. So this is a one of the characteristic arrangement. This won't be same with this, okay. This characteristic arrangement is that it is a thin, okay, this is like a fiber one, this is a thin sheet one. In its outer appearance, see, this is not a chemical properties and all, this is just in the outer appearance, how we see it from the outside. This is the property of it. Based on that we define it as a habit or a habit, okay. Remember that this shape is expressed in terms of habit. So whatever we are seeing here is expressed in terms of a habit, like a foliated habit, fibrous habit, remember that. And it is typical in case of many minerals, so this can be found in different minerals also. So here is one example: foliated habit, fibrous habit. So let us go with a few more, okay. Some of the common structural minerals are tabular one. So tabular one is the easiest one, like this, a square or a rectangle type of mineral we can see. Then there is a columnar one, like this way, a columnar shape can be seen. Then the blended one, okay, like this way. So in the exam if they ask you explain the different type of habitant, then draw these sketches. You have to draw all these 9 sketches, remember that, okay. You have to draw all these 9 sketches and you have to explain the terms, okay. So fibrous one, fifth one is a fibrous one, like this it is there, like a single fiber. See in this image there is a single fiber. Maybe the arrangement will be different. For easiness of drawing we have drawn it in this manner, remember that, like this fibrous one will be there, okay. Then the reinforced one like this, okay, articular one like this. Then the foliated one, which we have already seen in this mica shades, foliated one. Here see, a single thin sheet can be separated from the whole mineral. That is what is shown here, remember that. This is a simplified drawing which we have to draw it in the examination. That's why we have shown it in a single 2-dimensional way. These are in 3 dimension now, remember that. Then radiating one, from a single point all the fibers get radiated. Granular one, like this. So these are the different types of habitants. Now let us see one by one. Columnar habit, that is this one, okay. When the mineral is composed of a thin and thick column, sometimes flattened. So like this one, column, like this thin sheets will be made up together to form a one mineral, like this way. So it is said to be a columnar one. An example is a hornblende. So remember that in exam if they ask you explain the different types of habitant, you have to provide one example. You have to somehow remember this mineral naming with it, okay. Hornblende for a columnar habit. So you have to remember those and you have to draw this sketch with it, okay, columnar one. Next, blended habit. The minerals appears as a composed of thin blended like structure. Example, kyanite. So in this hornblende, kyanite will come in the further session where we will explain what do you mean by hornblende type of mineral, what is its chemical property. Same way we are going to explain this kyanite mineral. You will get a good idea of regarding those minerals in the coming session. Now I am just explaining you here the properties of the mineral, okay. There are different properties. One is the habitant. In that habitant, what are the different habitant we can see, okay. The blended habitant here, okay. Third one, this is the blended habitant which will be in the kyanite mineral, okay. Then laminar habitant, the plates or leaves are separatable. Vermiculite. Granular habitants, the mineral shows numerous grain packed together in chromite, okay. In chromite mineral we can see this type of structure, okay, granular one. Then acicular habit, when the mineral surface is covered by large and conspicuous overlapping provinces like malachite, like this, one top of the other, okay. Then minerary habit, when the mineral surface is covered by large and conspicuous overlying provinces like malachite. Then reinforced habit, the round provinces exhibit a resemblance of a kidney shape, okay. A kidney shape, this will be formed here, like this, it will be go on here. So you can see here there are only 9 and there are few more terms like the malachite habit, okay. So for this there is no sketches, okay. You can only draw this 9 sketch and explain this 9 with few extra one, that is like manular habit and all. Then there is a tubular habit. The mineral is flat and elongated. Example, calcite, orthoclase. These are the example for a tubular one. That is this one, first one, tubular one. Okay, tubular habit. Then these are the different types of habit. Okay, 9 plus 1, 10 habits are there. 9 habits as a sketch you have to draw. One is without the sketch. Okay, so this is the 9 types of habit. All these 9 types of habits are important, and you have to write for each habit its example. At least write for 5 to 6 one. At least I try to write the, remember, for different types of habit the 5 to 6 example of mineral with respect to that. Okay, now let us go to the one another physical properties, that is nothing but the color. Minerals show great varieties of color. Okay, the color of the substance, it appears in the light. So color we can only see in the light. Okay, depends upon the composition and structure of the substance. So what does the color depend on? Color depend upon the composition as well as the structure of the substance. In minerals, color may be either be inherent or exotic nature. Inherent means depending on the properties of the mineral itself. Exotic means depending on the surrounding. What is the surrounding? Depending upon the climate condition, the color may change. The inherent color formed is related to the chemical composition, and it is more diagnostic, means it is more due to the color will be due to the chemical composition of the mineral itself, whereas exotic colors are due to the small traces of impurities may vary within wide limits. Okay, if there is any impurity due to the weather change or due to the any climatic change, there will be some impurities which might be present in the mineral. So due to that impurities, the color will be varied. That is called as exotic colors. Metallic minerals are commonly shown greater consistency in colors than non-metallic ones. Metallic minerals means such as the ore minerals, okay, hematite or chromite ore. So in those ore, the color will be specific. When compared to non-metallic means like quartz, feldspar, mica, those colors will be keep on varying depending on the impurities which are present in those minerals. So this is regarding the idea of the color. Remember that color depends on the light. So it is the color is nothing but the appearance to the light. Remember that it depends on the composition and the structure of the substance. And color, there are two types. One is inherent one is the exotic in nature. Inherent depends on the chemical composition. Exotic colors depend on the impurities. Okay, so this is just the basic idea of color. Now next one is the streak. Streak of the mineral is the color of its powder. Okay, now streak is nothing but the color of its powder. This become important in some sense for some minerals. The color is entirely different from their powder. Example, here is the example, pyrite. Okay, which is one of the ore mineral. So original color of the pyrite which you can see is a brass color. But when the powder, when we make it into powder, it will become a greenish black. So chromite is one of the mineral. So the original color of the greenish is greenish black, means when the chromite is in axis, when you hold one big chromite mineral, then it will be in greenish black. But when you make it into a powder, it will be greenish brown. Hematite, okay, hematite, the original color will be black, but when you make it into a powder, it will be in terms of cherry red. So whenever these minerals, we will explain it separately in the coming session, we will see this color variation. Okay, so this is just an idea what I am giving you. Thus it is found true in certain of minerals, while most of the other minerals exhibit the white streak. So only few minerals will exhibit this type of color changes. Other mineral, when you make it into powder, it will be just in white color itself. Remember that. Streak does not help in distinguish those materials. So you cannot distinguish two types of minerals, because most of the minerals, when you make it into powder, it will be white color. You cannot differentiate. Only in few type of this type of minerals we can say that we can identify based on this streak itself. This is a pyrite mineral. If we see the powder of the mineral is greenish, but we can say it as a chromite. If we see a color of the powder color of the mineral has cherry red, then we can say it as a hematite mineral. For other things, it will be just white, and we cannot name the mineral. Remember that based on the streak itself. It is for few minerals only. So remember, the definition of a streak is, streak of a mineral is the color of its powder. Remember that. Okay, if you make the mineral into powder shape, what will be the color of it, depending on that streak will be given. And most of the minerals have a white streak, means the color of the powder will be white. Only for few minerals there will be different colors. A streak of the material can be readily observed by scratching it to the streak plate. Okay, we don't make the full mineral into a powder, we just rub it with the streak plate. What do you mean by streak plate? Which is made up of a unglazed porcelain rough glass. So it is made of that streak plate is made up of a unglazed porcelain, okay, and a roughened glass. So with those type of material, a streak plate is made, a square plate will be made, okay. Then we rub this mineral to this streak plate. So whatever powder formed on this streak plate, we will observe that, we will using the microscope, we will observe that what will be the color of the powder depending on the streak will be given. While determining the streak for a mineral, care should be taken that the scratch is for the obscured part and give only the called scratch, producing a small quantity of powder. We should not make sure that we take the whole mineral and make it a powder using the streak plate. We should only scratch the small part of the mineral, because all the minerals will be have a higher cost, remember that. Okay, so we will just scratch some part of the mineral, and whatever powder we obtain from that scratch itself we are going to observe, and we will see the streak of it. Remember that we will not make a big scratch in the mineral itself, or neither we make a powder out of it. We will just put a small scratch, and whatever in that scratch we will get a powder out of it. We will see the what will be the color of that powder, depending on that we will name the streak of it. Remember that. Now the third property, physical property, is the luster. The shining surface of the mineral is called as the luster. The different types of luster and their examples are given in the tabular column. So this is one. So vitreous luster, a mineral having a glassy shine like quartz. Okay, quartz has a glassy shine. Pearly luster, a pearly having a pearl shine. So remember, glass has a higher shine. Lesser than glass shine will be pearl. So if you take a mineral and if you keep it to the light, if it shines brightly, then it is said to be a glassy shine. Example are quartz and calcite. If it shines little bit less, if there is a little bit blur in the shine, then it is said to be a pearl. So pearl, if you have seen in the pearl stones, okay, pearl stones, if you have heard, if they in the rings we will place the stones, right, that is having a pearly shine, not a glassy shine. Okay, the stones what we have it in our rings, okay, that will be a pearly shine. Okay, that will not shine like a glass one, that won't be fully shiny. It will have a just slightly less shine when compared to a glass one, that is said to be a pearly luster. As for example, muscovite mica. So when we go to this type of mineral, we will get an idea, remember that. Then metallic luster, having a metallic shine like magnetite. So if you see any metal structure, okay, it will have some shine, right? Those type of shine is called as a metallic luster. Then silky shine, a material having a silky shine like threads, it will have some shine, right? So that is called as a silky shine. Example is the asbestos. Here in this type of shine, okay, it will have some shine, okay, when it is kept to the light. So this is an example of an asbestos. This type of shine is called as a silky shine. Okay, then resinous luster, a mineral having a greasy oil like structure, talc. Then adamant luster, a mineral having a diamond like shine, okay, like a diamond. Okay, so these type of are the different type of luster what we can observe in an mineral. So if you don't get a proper example, okay, just go to YouTube and Google some of these luster, you will get a correct exact idea. Okay, so this is just to give you a brief idea. And one more thing, these luster are very important in identification of the mineral. So you should have a correct idea regarding what this luster, different types of luster mean. Okay, vitreous luster, it should have a glassy shine. You have to, when you say vitreous, your head should run to the glass shine. When you say pearly shine luster, your mind should run to the pearly shine, means you should have that imagination. So to get those imaginations, go to different videos in the Google it, you will get this type of minerals. Okay, so I don't have much time to explain everything in detail, so I will just brief it here. So if you want extra thing, you go for the Google it. Okay, so this is much more enough sufficient for your examination purpose. Okay, and when examination, if they ask you explain lustre, then with this tabular column write down all these types of lustre, and you have to remember with that you have to provide the examples. Examples are must and should in the properties. Okay, with examples only you have to write it down, then only you'll get the complete full marks. Then the diaphragmatic. Now we have already seen three types of properties: color, streak, lustre. The fourth one is diaphragmatic. Diaphragmatic of the mineral may be defined as the capability to pass light through it. So if the light passes through the mineral or not, depending on the diaphragmatic is been given. Hence, if the object can fully or easily through a mineral, if the light can easily pass through a mineral, it may be called as diaphragmatic. Depending on the extent of light can pass through a mineral, they can be classified as follows. Okay, depending on the diaphragmatic, there are three types. Example: transparent minerals which fully allows the light to pass and objects on the other side can be seen clearly through the mineral. They are said to be transparent diaphragmatic. They are having a transparent diaphragmatic. So if you take a quartz has a glassy shine. Okay, so if you keep a this type of quartz type of mineral, what will happen? So the light will pass through this quartz mineral, as well as whatever behind the quartz mineral is present, we can see it clearly. Whereas in translucent one, a mineral which allow some diffuse light to pass through the edges. Here the light will pass, only few amount of light will be passed. Okay, not fully amount of light will be passed, only few amount of light will be passed, and we cannot see what is behind the mineral. Okay, it will be a blur shape. That is what you mean by translucent diaphragmatic. Example: jasper. Then opaque one, a mineral which does not passes any light, hence through which nothing can be seen. This type of minerals is like a hard material, like a wall. So if you see behind the wall, what will we cannot see anything. Why? Because light won't passes through it. Example: orthoclase hornblende. So for a transparent one, it is example is glass. Glass, light passes through it and we can see what is behind it. Okay, example for those type of mineral is quartz and calcite. Now translucent one is, again you can give the glass, okay, of the car glass, you can say, where light passes through the glass, but we cannot see what's inside the what's behind those glasses. Okay, for those example for those type of means jasper. Opaque, a completely closed one like a wall. Orthoclase and hornblende, where light does not pass and behind the mineral we cannot see what is present there. So this is depending on the diaphragmatic. So diaphragmatic is nothing but the light passing ability. In this there are three types: transparent, translucent, opaque. Now coming to the next one, that is fracture. The fracture of a mineral may be defined as the appearance of its broken surface when the mineral is hammered or broken. So if you see the mineral, it will be broken, right? So if you take that broken piece and if you see the mineral, what will be the appearance of it? It is characteristic feature of a certain mineral which helps in their identification. Based on this fracture itself, we can identify what the mineral is. We can name that mineral. The different types of fracture are seen in the various minerals. So this is the chart which indicates the same types of fracture. Even fracture, when the broken surface of the mineral are smooth. So if the one mineral like shirt, it gets broken up, and if you touch that mineral, it will give you a smooth feel. Okay, those type of, and one more thing, it is not just for a feel, you have to see in the microscopic view whether it has a smooth surface, then we say it as an even fracture. Uneven fracture, when the mineral breaks into very rough and coarse surface, means if you touch that surface of that mineral in the broken part, it will give you uneven rough feel. Those type of fracture is called as uneven fracture or chromite. Example for that is a chromite mineral. Then conchoidal fracture, when the mineral breaks up with a curved surface. So this will have something like this, curved shapes will be present in those surface. If you show in the microscopic observation, we will feel this. Okay, microscopic view we will get to know this. We won't feel this type of curved thing, but if you see in a microscopic view, then we will see this type of curved thing in the broken phases. In fact, will be a concentric grooves like this. Concentric means same, similar, only the diameter will be varying, but it will have a same center. Okay, and rigid, resembling with the concentric lines grown on the shell. Crunches. Example, quartzite. In quartzite, we can see this type of surfaces. Okay, in any broken part of the quartz mineral, if you take it and if you observe it in the microscopic view, this type of concentric rings will be formed. Okay, this is said to be a conchoidal fracture. Then Halki fracture, when the mineral breaks with irregular surface having sharp edges, so at the edges it will be completely sharp like this. If you touch here, it will be pointed and you will get the feel. Okay, those type of fracture are called as Halki fracture. Example, copper. Earthly fracture, when the broken surface is soft and almost smooth, is called as chalk. So here is the difference. Remember that even fracture is only smooth, but it is hard. But whereas in the earthly fracture, it will be soft. Means it will, if you touch it, again the surface may come off. Okay, and will give you the soft feel. It is example for those type of earthly fracture is the chalk one. So this is basically regarding the fracture. Okay, these are the different types of fracture. Remember, all these properties are very important, and in examination number of times these fractures are asked. Explain the different types of fracture with the definition of fracture. Define fracture, explain the different types of fracture. Explain diaphragmity and explain the different types of diaphragmity. Okay, explain habit, explain the different types of habit. So explain lustre, explain the different types of lustre. In exam, these are the common questions. Okay. Now the another one of the physical properties, hardness. Hardness is another property of the mineral which can be used as a hardy tool in the field to differentiate between the different minerals or to recognize the particular mineral. Hardness of the mineral may be defined as the resistance which minerals offer to a scratch. If you take a mineral, if you try to scratch it with your fingernail or with a knife or with any other material, okay, whether it gets a scratch or not, depending on the those resistance property of the mineral, we define its hardness. So take for example any one mineral or any substance you can take in general also. Okay, let me take a example of a quartz itself. If you take a quartz mineral and if you try to scratch it with your fingernail, will there be any scratch mark on the mineral? We have to see. Okay, then we will take a knife, then we will try to scratch it. Depending on that, we will go on scratching. Okay, depending on how much resistance it will provide to the scratching, we will define its hardness. This property of mineral is generally determined by scratching a given mineral with the mineral of known hardness. Here, the hardness will be determined based on the other mineral hardness which we will be correctly exactly known. So to obtain the comparative figure for the hardness of the given mineral. For example, if a given material is scratched by a mineral or a metal of hardness say 6, so you will get a scratch when a mineral of 6 is being scratched. Okay, let me take one example. Now this is one mineral. Now if you scratch it with a mineral of hardness 6, okay, it will get a scratch, but it does not get a scratch by that of hardness 5. So if you take a mineral of hardness 5 and if you try to scratch it, then you will not get any scratch on it. Okay, so what will be the hardness then? Moreover, the intensity of scratch is produced will help us to judge whether the hardness of determined, okay, here one line I missed. Then evidently we can conclude that the hardness of the given material lies between 5 to 6. Okay, so now we can say that the hardness of this mineral, what I have considered, is between 5 to 6. Now how to make sure whether it is close to 5, whether it is close to 6, it will depend on how much intensity of this scratch is being produced. With the help of that, we will judge whether the hardness is determined nearer to 5 or 6. So if I consider this material and try to scratch it with 6, if I get a small scratch, okay, then its hardness is close to 6. Okay, if I take a mineral, same mineral, okay, sorry, if I take a different mineral and try to scratch it with the hardness 6, and if I get a big scratch, then the hardness is very close to 5. Okay, that is how we say it. Okay, and remember that there won't be any scratch when we scratch it with a mineral of hardness 5. Now this is a Mohs scale of hardness. Remember that in exam this is one of the definite question. Write down the Mohs scale of hardness. Mohr is a scientist who has given this scale, okay, of hardness. So he has conducted some experiment and found out that talc has a hardness of 1, same way gypsum has a hardness of 2, calcite has a hardness of 3, fluorite has a hardness of 4, apatite has a hardness of 5, orthoclase has a hardness of 6, quartz 7, topaz 8, corcodum 9, diamond 10. So these are the exact hardness of this mineral. As I mentioned earlier, for this material, this hardness won't vary with respect to time as well as with respect to the location where the mineral is found. This will be the same and accurate one. This is the distinctive property that I was mentioning earlier. Okay, if you take gypsum, it will have the hardness 2, which will be easy for its identification. If you take clots, the hardness will be 7 itself. Okay, now, so talc can be scratched even with your fingernail. Okay, the hardness of your fingernail, okay, if you want to the strength of your fingernail is with half hardness 3. The pen knife which you use in the kitchen has a hardness of 6. Okay, above that you have to use different instrument, and the most hardest material which is found on the earth's surface is the diamond, which has a hardness of 10. Above 10 there is none material we have found till now. Okay, 10 is the highest hardness material what we have found till now, that is nothing, it is for diamond. So diamond has the highest hardness. So diamond is used to cut any of this type of mineral. Remember that using diamond we can cut or we can scratch any of this mineral. So using corcondum you can scratch any of this material. So using quartz we can cut or we can scratch any of these minerals. Remember that this is how we are using the minerals in the field. Okay, using quartz we will check the hardness of this mineral. Okay, we will take quartz and we will scratch it with the minerals and find out its hardness. This is what we are going to do in the field also. This is regarding basic things regarding the hardness. Now let us go to one more thing, specific gravity. It is defined as the ratio of its weight to the equal volume of water. So weight of the mineral to the equal volume of water, okay, H2O, equal volume of water. Strictly speaking, the weight of water should be taken at 4 degrees Celsius, not at the room temperature. At this degree Celsius, we have to find out the specific gravity. As the temperature varies, bring the slightest change in the weight of alter a certain fixed volume. So if you take a room temperature, whatever the minerals which you are considering may have altered its shape. So that's why at 4 degrees Celsius, if you take the value of both the things, then you will get an accurate value of specific gravity. In fact, specific gravity of a mineral depends upon the weight and the spacing of the atoms. So how the atoms in a mineral get spaced, depending on that, as well as the weight, the specific gravity will vary. A mineral possessing heavier and close space atom, so one which has a highest weight and the atoms are closely tightly packed, will have higher specific gravity, whereas a mineral possessing lightweight and widely spread atom will have a low specific gravity. So hope you might have understood this statement. Specific gravity of the mineral is thus in fact a representation of its atomic structure. So if I consider this mineral and all the atoms in this mineral are tightly packed without any space, okay, all the minerals are tightly packed, then this mineral will have a higher specific gravity when compared to the mineral with having atoms loosely packed like this. Okay, that is what that statement means. Also, if the weight of this particles are very high, then the specific gravity also more. When the weight of these particles are very less, then specific gravity is also less. All the minerals have to be found possess a specific gravity varying from 1 to 20 only. So in nature, whatever might be the materials we've obtained will have a specific gravity from 1 to 20 only. Till now, this is what we have found out. Okay, in the future we might get a material with having more than 20 specific gravity, or which will have less than 1 specific gravity. But till now, whichever material we have found out will have a specific gravity 1 to 20 only. But most of the specific gravities are varying between 2 to 7. And in that itself, more than 90% of materials what we have found out, that materials have a specific gravity between 2 to 7 itself. Only few materials have a specific gravity of 1 and few materials have a specific gravity of 20. Okay, all the most of the materials or the most of the minerals or most of the things whatever we have found out, it has a specific gravity between 2 to 7 only. So here we are interested in minerals only. So minerals, most of the minerals will have a specific gravity between 2 to 7. So these are the things regarding the specific gravity. Next one is the cleavage. The tendency of the mineral to break along a flatter surface as determined by the surface of the crystalline lattice. So here how the breakage of the mineral takes place. So for example, this is the example muscovite mica. So here this is the example in here. Okay, this is one of the example for that cleavage part. Here we can peel off this single layer of this mica, right? So single sheet we can peel it off. Okay, so this is an example single sheet that we can peel that off. So it will have a single cleavage in one direction only. Example muscovite mica, it should be muscovite mica. Next, cleavage in two direction. So we can peel it off in two direction like a this one. If you try to remove, if you try to break this, okay, so if you try to break this mineral, it will be breaked in this shape. Okay, here in the first case it will break in a thin sheet form like this. That is cleavage in one direction. This is cleavage in two direction. Then cleavage in three direction, again it will be breaking in this shape. It will form a complete like this structure. Okay, three-dimensional structure will be there. Okay, that is cleavage in three direction. Then cleavage in two direction, example calcite feldspar. Okay, cleavage in three direction, example halloysite. Okay, so muscovite is an example for cleavage in one direction. So these are the examples. Okay, remember whenever you write down a property, you have to write down the example of the minerals also. So you will get an idea when we study this minerals also. We are going to study the muscovite mineral, we are going to study the feldspar, we are going to study the halite mineral. Every mineral we are going to study it. Once you study those, go through those all the session together, you will get a correct idea regarding what do you mean by cleavage. All the other properties also you'll get a correct idea if you don't get it at a time. Okay, so this is what you meant by cleavage. So cleavage forms parallel or crystallographic planes. Okay, so it has I mentioned earlier, it forms a planes like this. This is one plane. Here there are two planes. This is completely one set of plane like this, three-dimensional one. Okay, basal or pinnacodal cleavage occurs when there is only one cleavage plane. Okay, this type of cleavage are said to be basal one when there is only one dimensional. Okay, graphite has a basal cleavage. Mica, so that what I showed in the earlier sketch. Okay, in the habitat I have shown that mica sketch na black one which can be paired into single sheet, that is called as a mica. So it is muscovite mica or biotite mica. There are two types of mica. Those will have the basalt cleavage where it can be when you try to break that mineral. Okay, remember this cleavage comes into picture when we try to break that mineral. How that breaking will take place? Here the breaking will take place in one direction. Here the breaking will take place in two direction. Here the breaking will take place in three dimensional. Remember that. That is how the cleavages are formed. Okay, in one dimension if it happens, it is called as the basal cleavage. Okay, example graphite mica also has a basal cleavage. This is why mica can be peeled off into thin sheets. That is what we have seen in that habit. We can remove it in a thin sheet. Cubical cleavage occurs when there is a three cleavage planes intersecting at 90-degree. Halotite or salt has a cubic cleavage, and therefore when halotite crystals are broken, they will form more cubes. So once you try to break this, again there will be cubes only formed like this, three-dimensional cubes only formed. We cannot get a thin sheet or something like that. When we try to break this, we will get one more cube. Again, if you try to break this into smaller parts, it will form a cube itself. Cube shape will only be formed. Octahedral cleavage occurs when there is four cleavages plane, not only three, there are more. Okay, one-dimensional cleavage, two-dimensional cleavage, three-dimensional cleavage. No, there are n type of directional cleavage we can obtain. Octa means 8. Sorry, octa means 6. Okay, cleavage. Octa means 4. Sorry, octa means 4. Okay, octa cleavage occurs when there is 4 cleavage planes in the crystal. Fluorite exhibits perfect octa cleavage. Octa cleavage is common in semiconductors. Diamond has an octa cleavage. So diamond, if you have seen, it has an octa 4 shape. Okay, Then rhomohedral cleavage occurs when there is three cleavage plane intersecting at an angle of 90 degree. Calcite and rhomohedral. Okay, prismatic cleavage. This is 5. Prism 5. Okay, cleavage when there are two cleavage planes in a crystal separated exhibit prismatic cleavage. Then doctahedral. Okay, cleavage which occurs when 6 cleavage planes in a crystal meet. Okay, when there is a 6 crystalline meets, it is called as docahedral. Splerite is a docahedral cleavage. Okay, these are the different types of cleavage. Okay, there is a basalt cleavage, one dimension. Cubic cleavage is there, octahedral 4, rhombohedral is there when there is 3, prismatic, okay, is there when there is a 5, sorry, this is not triangle, 5. Okay, then there is docahedral when there is a 6 cleavage. Okay, so these are the different types of cleavages which we can observe in a mineral. Okay, so these things are regarding the physical properties. Okay, now I will just give you brief classification of mineral in this session. Then in the next session we will go with the different types of mineral itself. Okay, now the classification, as I mentioned earlier, rock forming one, important constitution of rock. Mineral forming are important to society. Example, hematite. Okay, then primary minerals, again there are different variation. Primary minerals, so this is one type of classification of mineral based on the rock forming or whether it is a economic value, has a economical value, that is ore forming. This is one type. Then there is primary minerals, the product of consolidation of magma, molten silica lying under the surface. Then there is a secondary minerals formed by the operational process on the surface subsequent to consolidation of magma. So this is a secondary mineral. Olivine, primary mineral, malachite, secondary mineral. Here basically what happens is that when the volcanic eruption takes places, the lava comes out, right? The magma comes out. So magma when cools down form a mineral. Okay, that mineral is said to be a primary mineral. Again, the mineral, due to weather climatic changes, the chemical composition changes. When the chemical composition changes and different processes occur, they will have a subsequent chemical changes which will form a secondary mineral, which is said to be, which is a secondary, which we name it as a secondary mineral due to different processes. Okay, that is, here is an example. Olivine will be a primary mineral, okay, in the magma state. Then when it cools down and different processes takes place, then it will form into malachite, which is a secondary mineral. Then essential mineral, presence or absence of naming of the rock. Okay, essential mineral is a mineral which will give the properties to the rock. Remember that. Okay, with those, if it is not present in those rocks, then it will, the naming of the rock will be different. Accessory mineral, no importance of the naming in the rock. So these minerals are just present because the sake of presence. Okay, it will be some like acting as an impurity in those rocks. A quartz, essential mineral, composition of granite. So in granite, the quartz is a must and should important mineral. Okay, zircon in granite is an accessory mineral. So this is just as an impurity, it is present in those rocks. Remember that in granite rock, zircon is an accessory where it is just an impurity, whereas in quartz is essential. If there is no quartz in the granite, it won't be named as granite itself. But whereas if there is no zircon, it will be still called as a granite one. That is where essential and accessory minerals comes into picture. Most scientific method, Dana, the fundamental subdivision of mineral kingdom on the basis of chemical composition. Now these are regarding the naming. These three things are based on the naming itself, like how they name it, like rock forming mineral, whether we name it on the ore forming mineral or primary mineral, secondary mineral, essential mineral or accessory mineral, depending on the based on the naming. Now depending on the chemical composition, how we name it. Native elements, sulfides, sulfates, halides, oxides, oxygen salts, organic salts, hydrocarbons. So what type of chemical present in those minerals, depending on that we can name it. If there is a sulfide present, we can name it as sulfide minerals. Sulfate salts are present, depending on that. Oxides are present in that mineral, we can say it as an oxide mineral. So depending on what type of chemical composition of the mineral is, depending on that we again can name it. Then non-silicate material. So these are the silicate type. Then there is a non-silicate materials. Native elements, halides, sulfides, oxide, carbonates, carbohydrates, nitrites, borides, sulfates, chromides, phosphate, acetate, bendates and tungstens. So these are the non-silicate minerals. Silicate minerals, quartz, kaolin, mica, feldspar, asbestos, carbonate, gypsum, ore minerals. So these contain silica in it. Remember, these contain silica in it. This does not contain any silica amount in it. Remember that. These are the two types of classification of mineral based on the chemical composition. Whether there is a silica present in it or whether there is no silica present in it. In these minerals, there is no presence of silica. Whereas in these type of mineral, there is a presence of silica. Depending on that, naming is given. So let me end this session here. Hopefully you have understood the concepts here. Remember, the mineralogy is a very important topic in the geology. Mineralogy, it's a study of minerals. So in study of minerals, we have to study the properties of minerals. So 8 physical properties we have studied: habit, okay, color, streak, luster, diaphragmity, hardness, cleavage. Okay, these are the different properties we have studied. Then we have seen the classification of minerals on the different bases. Now in the coming session you will get a correct idea when we study the different minerals. So we are going to study this quartz group of minerals, different types of quartz we are going to study. Then kaolin group of minerals also we are going to study. Mica group we are going to study. Feldspar group we are going to study. So like this we are going to study different types of minerals which are present in those quartz group, kaolin group, okay, which will give you again the physical properties idea also. So once you know the correctly and imagine those physical properties. So what do you mean by hardness? If you get to know that imagination, then this coming session will be very easy. So imagine properly those physical properties. Okay, once you imagine only you will get to know the, you can identify or differentiate between the two minerals. Until and unless if you don't imagine what is one dimensional cleavage, how will it be, until and unless you don't understand how will be the two dimensional cleavage will be taking place, until you unless you understand those things, you won't understand the properties. Okay, so have a correct imagination of the properties. If you have any doubts, just write down in the comment section in the Google Classroom. I will clarify it. Okay, let me end this session here.